pedals are there and what do they do? Well, this is how you find out where they are. You come up to a block, right click, scroll down, and you will see drive will come up. I've already selected one, so let's head back. We have drive here, and if you want to find out how many they are and what their names are, left click on that box and this drop down menu will come up. If we go through, there's 34 of them. What do they do? And what I mean by that question is, what functions do they serve? There's all different kinds of drive pedals, and some of them do certain things. So I've broken it down into 4 categories. Even though there's 34 pedals, these 34 pedals are responsible for 4 different types of drive: overdrive, distortion, fuzz, and boost. Firstly, let's find out where those parameters are. We've selected drive. I've chosen Zen Master. To the right, you're going to see all the parameters that are available to you. There are 2 pages. You've got basic and advanced. Just switching between the 2, you'll notice that basic has this window here, and it's actually the same in advanced. The only thing that changes when you click on the advanced button is a different set of parameters appears here. So let's just go back. Basic, you've got this, and then when we click on advanced, it changes to this. Let's explain what each one does. Drive, as you may imagine, sets the amount of gain, overdrive, distortion, fuzz, boost, etc. It goes anywhere from 0. On some pedals, if you set it to 0, you don't get any volume at all, and up to 10. So let's just take it back to around 5. Let's move on to tone. Tone determines the high and low character of the drive pedal itself. It's one of those things, you just see where it's comfortable for you. There's no laws, there's no rules. Moving down to the input select. Sometimes you've got some effects in front and they're in stereo, so they're going to be sending left and right. This one sums them up, so you get both left and right. And here you can choose either the left signals coming in or the right signal. Low cut and high cut. I've explained what these do in my amp tutorial for the AX8. If you go there, you'll find out that these 2 things do exactly the same thing in the pedal setting. We have our low cut, and that determines which frequency the 3 dB cut comes in at. The same applies for the high cut. The high cut controls the outpass low filter. If you move this around, you're going to get a darker sound. You might be able to cut out some of those squealy high frequencies that are coming in. To the next one, we have clip type. This is one of the more mysterious parameters, because when you click on it, it's like, wow, this drop box comes up and you've got all these different selections, and you might be looking at it thinking, man, I don't have a clue what those are. Well, let's have a little bit of an explanation. I'm just going to run through them one at a time. The first one, 4558 diode. What is that? This setting, this clip type, gives you the most gain. If we move to FET, that's a field effect transistor. The FW rect, you've got some overtones coming in, about an octave up. GE diode is a bright, sweet sounding type of clip. Hard, exactly what you might imagine. That derives around your string attack. It's good for hard string attack. HV tube, high voltage tube. That's going to give you a rich sound with a full range EQ. LED, unfortunately I haven't been able to find information on this one. LV tube is the low voltage tube with the mildest and the clearest drive. Null, this one is important if you're going to be changing the bit reduction or sample rate, which is in the advanced screen here. Op amp, unfortunately I can't find any information for that either. The SI diode is going to give you boxy mid-range type of setting. Soft is exactly that. That's going to give you a really soft and smooth string attack. Variable, exactly what it is. If you choose variable, this is going to come up, and this is simply going to allow you to control the overall shape of the clipping. It's one of those things, you just experiment with that as you go. If we move down, we have the bass setting. Bass, mid, treble, adjust the low, mid and high end of the built-in equalizers that are there, anywhere from minus 12 dB to 12 dB. The mid frequency, as you might expect, sets the frequency for the built-in equalizer. You can see the hertz changing there. The mix here is just changing the amount of dry to wet signal ratio. The level is exactly that. That's gonna change the level for the output. You can push your amp by adjusting the level here. The balance sets the left and right output balance of the block. And the bypass mode control whether or not it's muted or if it goes straight through when you're bypassing the effect. You don't really need to know, I think, what clip types are, but if you've ever seen a wave, most of these signals here, or in fact all of them, deal with a sine wave. So you know it's going up and down, and clipping simply refers to how much of the top of the wave or the bottom is cut. Two kind of basic shapes that you have when you start clipping. You've got like a soft clip and the top of the wave is cut off, and then eventually if you do more and more things to it, it ends up looking like a saw blade. We have 4 parameters: slew limit, bias, bit reduce, sample rate. These are the kind of things that, you know, a lot of guitarists have never seen before. A lot of us are used to seeing the, you know, the overdrive pedal, and it's got tone, gain, boost, those kinds of things. We're familiar with those and what they do. But something like the AX8 just opens up a whole new world of ways to tweak your pedal. What are they? Let's have a look at this one, slew limit. Slew limit limits the large signal frequency response. Turning this up, what is it going to do? It's going to simulate the limited high frequency response in the drive pedal using early op amps. So it's one of those things, you know, you just experiment and listen to what it's doing. It has a range from 0 all the way up to 10. Bias is going to set the bias point for the clipping circuit. If you move this around, it's going to control the relative amount of even and odd harmonics. You know, that's something that you hear quite often. Even harmonics, odd harmonics. It's really up to you. If you set it really high or really low, you're going to get an interesting type of effect, kind of like spluttering. Just be careful when you use it. If you're using it in certain situations, you're not going to get any volume out of your block. Bit reduction, I like to think about it is like looking at a nice picture with heaps of detail made up of 24 pieces. If we start at 0, we have all 24 pieces, or 20, let's say pixels, 24 pixels in that picture, and it's clear, we can see everything. By reducing this, we are removing the number of pixels, so we get to see less and less of the picture. This is introducing a digital distortion. If I move it to 20, it means only 4 bits of the original picture are left. Sample rate is very similar to bit reduction. We're starting off at 48,000 Hertz. But let's not think of things being removed. Let's just think of the picture becoming less and less clear as you lower the frequency. That's how I like to think about it. We have reached the part of the tutorial where I'm going to explain a little bit more about each of the pedals. The BBE Pre is based on the exotic BB preamp. It's a clean boost, and you can think of the guitarist Andy Timmons when you're using this pedal. Bender Fuzz. Bender Fuzz is based on the tone Bender Fuzz from the 60s. In England, you can think of Jimmy Page. Bit Crusher. Bit Crusher is a digital distortion, and it reduces resolution or bandwidth of the digital audio data. The bit reduction has kicked in here. It's removed 20 bits from the 24 bits that we discussed earlier in the tutorial. Blues OD is based on the Marshall Blues Breaker pedal and combo amp, and it can act as either a boost or an overdrive. Esoteric ACB sounds pretty fancy. This is based on the exotic AC booster and acts as an overdrive. If you look across here, you can see that when you move between the pedals, the main thing that happens is that these are adjusted. The low cut, high cut, and the clip type. If you move to advanced, sometimes these are changed, but what I've found is that more often than not, these are kind of the only things that are modified between the pedals. It's not always the case, but often. The esoteric RCB It's based on the exotic RC booster, and it's really quite a transparent pedal. It's clean boost, but you can modify it to bring in some crunch. Eternal Love, based on the Love pedal Eternity. This is an overdrive, and it has a treble all clean boost. Face Fuzz. This is based on the Dallas Arbiter fuzz face from around 1966. Doesn't need much of an explanation, I think. Face Fuzz tells it all. If you haven't worked out what FAS stands for, it's Fractal Audio Systems. This is one of the pedals designed by the guys at Fractal Audio, based on Cliff Chase's own idea of what the ideal boost pedal should be. FAS LED drive, and it's based on the LED clipping pedal that borrows from the Tubescreamer, the Ibanez TS9 circuit. Fat Rat, based on the Proco Rat, a modded version. This one has a fuller, smoother edge attached to it. The FET Boost, this is a smooth clipping booster, and it has a discrete Class A field effect transistor. I remember when those things came out, I think they called them MOSFET, metal oxide semi field effect transistor, and they were kind of all the rage back when they came out. The FET preamp, this is based on the Boss FA1. That wasn't around for very long. It was one of those pedals that sort of came into existence and then faded out again, and now they're worth like $600 or $700 US on eBay, if you can even find one. I think they gained in popularity. The Edge was using them. Full OD. This is based on the Full Tone Full Drive. It's more of a full tone, volume tone, OD boost type of pedal. Hard fuzz, exactly that. It's got a hard clip in it, 60s style fuzz. M-Zone Distortion is based on the super famous Boss Metal Zone. That was the first truly distortion pedal that I ever owned, and I still own the same one from years and years ago. Some people hate them, some people love them. I fall into the love category. This is the first time that I truly experienced what it was like to have a seriously distorted tone at my, not my fingertips, at my foot tips. And I love that pedal, man. You know, it's for me it was the greatest thing. I just love it, and I still do. And I don't care if you hate it. I love it. Master Fuzz. This is based on the Gibson Maestro Fuzz Tone FZ1A. Think of Rolling Stones Satisfaction. The Micro Boost is based on the MXR Micro Amp Booster, and it's just a clean boost. The Mid Boost is a Fractal Audio Systems pedal. It's based on the Mid Boost. Try interchanging this with the Treble Boost pedal. Octave Dist, welcome Jimi Hendrix. This was designed for Jimi Hendrix in 1967, and it's based on the Octavia pedal. Think of Purple Haze. PI Fuzz. This is based on the Big Muff PI Fuzz, popular with Hendrix and Santana, well known for its super creamy sustain. Tick tip, best to use this with a clean amp tone. Plus Distortion. This is based on the super famous MXR distortion. These distortions use the germanium transistors, not silicon. A lot of people think they had a bit of a nicer kind of tone to them, a bit more acceptable, not so edgy as silicon. That's related to the Dallas Arbiter, the Face Fuzz that I mentioned earlier. The Face Fuzz also had germanium transistors inside it. The Rat Distortion, this is based on the Procat Rat, but the non-modded version. The Fat Rat there is based on the modded version of the Proco Rat. Ruckus, yeah, we all like to call it a ruckus. Ruckus is based on the Sewer Riot Distortion. It's high gain. Feel free to turn up the tone as you desire. Use it with a clean amp. The SDD preamp, based interestingly enough on the preamp in the Korg SDD 3000 digital delay, which was also used by the Edge from U2. You can set the drive to 1.5 as a starting point. Marshall Shredmaster. Need I say more? This is based on the Boss SD1 Super Overdrive from the early 80s. Probably best to put this in front of your amp and let it act as either a boost or a distortion. I can attest to the fact that this does sound just like the real pedal. I can't attest to all of these sounding like the real pedals because I haven't owned all of them. But I have in the past owned this pedal, so I can say to you that it sounds just like it. So this is based on the modified version of the TS9. TS9, who made that famous? I think Stevie Ray Vaughan. He's, you know, he's well known for that. What were the popular mods that people have been doing on the TS9? They're swapping the diodes, true bypass, feedback tweaks, transparency, variable mids. Those were, from what I can remember, the most popular modifications that were made to the TS9. I'm not sure exactly which modifications have been included in the T808 mod, but it's probably definitely some of those. The T808 OD is based on the TS9 unmodded. This is your Tubescreamer singing out at you loud and clear. Tape dist. I actually had to research this because I didn't even know what it was. Tape distortion is the clipping of an overdrive reel-to-reel tape deck, and the recommendation is to try after the amp for a bit more fatness. This is something that I'm just going to experiment with a lot more because I truly have or had no idea of what tape distortion was. Treble boost. This is based on the Dallas Rangemaster. It also has the germanium transistor, like the other two pedals that I mentioned. Famous users of this include Queen, Brian May, and Tony Iommi. The treble boost, you can also, for an experiment, try swapping this with the mid boost and just see which one suits you better. Tube Drive 3 knob. This is actually based on the tube drive that had a 12 AX7 tube inside it. Experiment with this one. They've all got their own unique things, and it's actually really different to the next one. Tube Drive 4 knob. The extra knob was more tone control, and just with this one, it's important to note it only accurately reflects or simulates this if the tone is set to 12 o'clock. So just remember that. The Zen Master, based on the Humida or Love Pedal Zen drive, popularized by Robin Ford. Some people have said that it resembles a Dumble. If you don't know what the Dumble is, check it out. The world's most expensive amps. I've never seen one, never heard one. I may have heard one on recordings, but I didn't know it was a Dumble. But they're commanding all sorts of crazy prices. I think I've seen one going for $80,000 or even up to $120,000. Anyway, that's beside the fact. The Zen Master apparently simulates the sound of Dumbles. So if you don't have a spare $100,000 to go and spend on the real Dumble amp, if you can get one, then try the trusty Zen Master in the AX8. I feel like I'm on the AX journey with all of you that are watching these. I don't profess to know everything about these. I don't think anyone could. The purpose of my tutorials is simply to share the information that I do have. There's plenty of other people that know more than I do. There's some that know less. What I'm tailoring these tutorials to is to users that are just like me. People that have moved from analog across to digital, or people that are new to fractal audio that haven't had an X-Effects before. If you've enjoyed my video, please like and subscribe. It means a lot to me if you do that. Okay, so thanks for hanging with me today. That's the end of the tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. I love doing these things because I learn at the same time as I teach, which is great. It encourages me to make even more of these, because I know there's a lot of people out there just like me, kind of learning. When you go to some of the forums, it seems like everybody is so far ahead and they're talking about all these complicated things. I'm sitting there thinking, dude, I just want to know how to plug it in, man. If you carry on the journey with me, you will probably get to the point where you're one of those experts as well, and that's exactly where I want to end up. Thanks again, and as you know, let your fingers fly.